This is me. I'm Sam. Okay. Hi guys.
Hi.
My name is Sam, and I'm going to talk to you on positive discipline producing responsible adults. I find this to be a very important topic. You have to discipline your children in a positive manner from the time they're born. Discipline is not only necessary for a child to succeed in life, it's necessary for them to receive a proper education. Children are hard work, and parents can never give up on them. Quitter parents equal quitter children. I can't stress that enough. And you should always do your best. Parents are here to help mold their children into responsible adults. It's our job. Undisciplined children end up being procrastinators. In an article titled "Procrastination in College Students is a Marker for Unhealthy Behavior," it states that procrastination is closely linked to avoidant coping styles. What that means is that kids who have avoidant coping styles tend to become smokers, they become heavy drinkers, and they have a hard time self-regulating their drinking. Procrastinators are also very well known to have sleep problems, such as insomnia, and a lot of people are aware that others who have insomnia have a hard time performing at work, at school. They turn papers in late constantly. It's just not good. Kids are like pit bulls. They're great when they're born, but their fate depends on how they're raised. If you're not consistent, how do you expect your child to be? Positive discipline takes a lot of time and effort. Children see and soak everything in that adults do around them. Sometimes you have to sacrifice for your kids and be unhappy in order for them to learn good things. You can't drink 15 beers around your kid every day and expect them to not become a drinker or an alcoholic. You can't go out robbing people and expect your kid to be an A student and a doctor one day. Mac Bledsoe, who's a teacher, coach, family man, and well-known author, said that yelling is ineffective. Yelling actually teaches your kid to yell back at you. It becomes a second nature to them. If they hear yelling all the time, they're not going to take you seriously. When children are constantly yelled at, they start yelling at themselves. They start yelling at you and to others. It also teaches kids that yelling is a way to relieve stress. Time disclosed in an O2 public agenda poll that 57% of parents acknowledge spanking their kids. Now, some parents can positively discipline their children with spanking, but a majority of them tend to spank their children out of rage. They're too angry, they go overboard, and it tends to be child abuse, which is unacceptable. Children should never be abused. All it does is teach them that to become aggressive. They end up being violent towards others, and you want to instill good values in your children, not contradict them. Teach your kids manners. They're so important. No one wants an ill-mannered child staying the night at their house. I wouldn't want your son over at my house if he doesn't have any manners, chewing with his mouth open at the table, thank you, yes ma'am. I just don't want a bad influence around my child. Always use daily situations in life to make memorable conversations for your kid to store later. Those are things that they'll be able to use. My neighbor was on his roof. He was a teenage boy with two other boys. And the leader of the group decided, hey, let's jump off of the roof. This is going to be a great idea for some reason. Now, Ryan, if he would have just said, no, I don't think that's a good idea, then Michael wouldn't have wanted to jump either, and then the leader wouldn't have followed, right? If one person stands up, then the others are most likely going to think about the consequences and not do it. That didn't happen, so two of them had their legs broken. unfortunate situation. But if you talk to your kids about a situation like that, they'll know later, oh, I probably shouldn't do that. I should think about things before I do them. Oh, and back to the school situation. Teachers are becoming very discouraged. When they decided to attend college, they wanted to make a difference in the lives of children. Now it's become that parents are starting to use school as a daycare. They're not teaching their children the basics at home. They're pretty much having kids and shipping them off to school and expecting them to learn everything they need to know from teachers and their peers, which is horrible. That's a horrible idea. They're losing momentum, and teachers are going to start being paid on test scores. If parents don't teach their kids, a teacher is an authority figure. You have to listen to them. There are going to be consequences at home if you don't. If you don't teach your kid that, they're not going to be worried about consequences. They're going to think, oh, I can do whatever I want, and they're not going to do well in school. They're not going to sit there and pay attention, and they're going to be disruptive for the other kids. I can't tell you how many times my kid has come home from school and said, Mom, I had to ask my teacher if I could read outside of the class today because the other kids were so disruptive. That is a shame to me. Communication is imperative with teachers, and you shouldn't wait for notes. You should ask the teachers. You should be informed, know what's going on with your child. If you don't know what's going on with your child, it's your own fault. Your teachers are there to teach your kids. They're not there to parent. I can't stress that enough. And you want your children to grow up and be responsible adults, make it through college, one day have grandchildren. You want them to be successful. Wouldn't you want to feel that you did everything that you could? If they end up in jail one day, don't you want to be the one to be like, look, I did everything that I possibly could for my child? Well, it starts with positive discipline from the time they're born. You are not there to be your child's best friend. You're not going to always be liked, but you are there to show love and show that you care. And children need to know that you're going to do what's best for them every day that you're their parent, every day they're alive. Thank you.